Welcome to Cass County. We are blessed here over 500 lakes. Now a lot of people are surprised when I tell them only 13 of our lakes have zebra mussels. People feel like zebra mussels are all over Minnesota already, when actually only about 1,000 lakes in Minnesota are infested with anything. So the land of 10,000 lakes, and we have 9,000 plus lakes that are AIS free. Everyone's effort out there really matters, and that's how we've gotten to where we are and how we're keeping things that way. You know, 10 years ago we used to see 100 lakes infested each year. That was really at the peak of AIS spreading in Minnesota. The last 2 years we've been down to about half of that. This year we're at 14 lakes. Now fingers crossed, I know there's going to be some more infestations this year, but 2024 we're at 14 infestations, and really that's because of what the watercraft users are doing out there. Everyone's being more careful, clean, drain, dry. People are following the procedures and we're seeing the results. I was blessed to grow up on a lake in Minnesota, something I really value and love, bringing my boys up with the same value set, lakes, streams. Now the biggest concern we have is AIS. Really, it can change a lake completely. We've seen that with Leech Lake up here. We were just talking about all the vegetation that used to be in the lake. It's all moved around, it's changed. The walleyes are in different places, harder to fish. We want to keep AIS out of as many lakes as possible. And the good news is, only about 1,000 lakes in Minnesota have any AIS. So the land of 10,000 lakes, we're more than 90% AIS free. Clean, drain, dry. It sounds so simple, but it really is effective. We've really reduced the spread of aquatic invasive species across Minnesota. What we're seeing is less than 1,000 lakes in Minnesota have aquatic invasive species. Lots of times people are really surprised at that because it seems like they've spread all over, but really what people are doing out there is effective. Cleaning off the plants, any sort of mud, drying out any water, making sure you pull your plug, and of course the best thing to do is to give it that 5 days. Park your watercraft out in the sun, let it get hot. That'll remove any AIS that's trying to hitchhike and get a ride to one of our 9,000 plus uninfested lakes. Couple minutes at the access, very effective at ensuring that there's nothing hitchhiking with you. So especially if you're hopping from lake to lake in a day, walk around the boat and trailer and turn around and go back the other way. People are more than twice as effective when they do that walk around both directions. So everyone keep up your efforts. We haven't won the war, but we're winning a lot of battles here, and we've really reduced the spread of AIS. I'm Steve, I work in Cass County. So Winnebagosh, Leech Lake, on down to Gull. One of the newer AIS we have in our area is starry stonewort. And you might have heard about how it's popping up around the state, over 20 lakes with starry stonewort now. Still, that's only 20 out of 10,000. And one thing we've noticed is we don't have many new infestations at all. So if people clean the plant matter off their boats, tip the boat motor back down, make sure the water drains out and nothing's hiding in the propeller hub, we're not seeing many new infestations of starry stonewort, and we're managing the ones we have. Here in Cass County, we have one of the newer aquatic invasive species in Minnesota, starry stonewort. It's an invasive algae, can spread off small fragments, or it's got little star-shaped bulbs, kind of like a lily that it reproduces by. Now we've found that in a few lakes in Cass County, but most of the infestations we've found have probably been in place for a few years already, and they're staying small, just a few feet across up to an acre. We're working with our partners, the Leech Lake Band, the DNR, local lake associations, and the Minnesota Aquatic Invasive Species Research Center on the best methods to contain and perhaps eliminate starry stonewort. We've managed to keep it from hopping the new lakes in Cass County based on the good efforts of the watercraft users out there, cleaning their trailer, cleaning the propeller hub, making sure they're not bringing any vegetation to another lake. So with your efforts, we're going to keep our lakes clean and preserve those 10,000 lakes for the future generation. One thing we have in our area is a lot of waterfowl. We have Big Rice Lake, thousands and thousands of ducks. A lot of those ducks come over from Leech Lake, which has several invasive species. But one thing we haven't found in Rice Lake is any invasive species at all. If you look at the spread of AIS, it's up and down the highways. It's not where the waterfowl go. Even the geese we have here in the park with us today haven't been found to move aquatic invasive species. So a lot of people feel like it's inevitable we're going to have aquatic invasives everywhere. Really, we have more than 9,000 lakes in the state of Minnesota that are AIS free. And if waterfowl and other animals moved it around, we'd be finding things everywhere. Put out that extra couple minutes of effort, walk around your boat, double back, go back around the other way. Make sure you're not carrying any plants, mud, or water to another lake, because you don't want to be the person who carries that hitchhiker. I've been fortunate. I grew up on a lake in Minnesota. I've been using lakes for my almost 50 years now. It's taken me a little bit of time to get in the AIS prevention mode at the access. You know, to stand back as you walk around the boat, look up underneath, looking for plants hanging on the trailer, any sort of mud hanging on anything, to look underneath my wheel wells on the trailer, make sure I don't have plants hanging off the wiring of the lighting. Things like to hide up underneath there. Watercraft users have been very effective at not transporting AIS to Minnesota's lakes, and you can see it in that over 9,000 of our lakes are free of AIS. Some aquatic invasives you can't see with your eye, and they can hide in that little bit of water. Make sure there's nothing in the propeller hub. Starry stonewort in particular, we think, likes to hide in propeller hubs. You stir it up at the access ramp and tip that motor up, and you can capture things in there. If I don't get my boat quite right on the trailer, the live well will hold a little bit of water. And so I have a sponge I bring along so I can wipe that last little bit of water out of my live well. Otherwise, when I head to the next lake and fill the live well back up, I could release any AIS that we're hiding in there. I want to drain my bait out and replace that water with some water I brought from home, because bait in a bucket or even a cooler, you can accidentally introduce invasive species into that bait well, and you want to flush that water out. So just a couple gallons of clean water, even with your bait well, pull the plug, let it drain, refresh that water so your bait's happy until you get to the next lake. We have a couple efforts in Cass County to help boaters clean their boats, or decontaminate them, as we might say. We have 3 of the hot water, high pressure decontamination units staffed in strategic locations around the county. So if boaters come from far away, say the Great Lakes or even Cabatoga, Nemakin, where they have spiny water flea, we can help them clean their boats out with a quick 5 to 10 minute hot water flush. A lot of people think it's the high pressure, but it's really the hot water will kill almost anything. It's only 140 degrees. It's not going to damage your boat or live well. We also have clean, drain, dry units. So those have a vacuum, air blaster, grabber tool. Those have also been found to be very effective at removing aquatic invasive species. Suck out that last bit of water that might be hiding in the live well, blast out your propeller hub with some high pressure air. They've found in studies that that can eliminate over 90% of aquatic invasive species. A new effort we have are tool stations. So these are a grabber, a plug wrench, a weed stick to help you grab anything that might be hiding way up underneath your trailer where plants like to hide. You know, you can never reach them easy. And what we found is people spend an extra 2 minutes cleaning their boat off, and they're more than twice as effective if you provide a tool station. We've installed over 500 tool stations in counties around the state of Minnesota now to encourage boaters to spend that extra few minutes making sure nothing's hitchhiking with them to an uninfested lake. With over 9,000 of our lakes in Minnesota AIS free, now they don't have any aquatic invasives in them. One thing that's important is if you're headed for somewhere on a trip, is to make sure that nothing's hitchhiking on your boat. There's a website that can help you with that. Minnesota DNR has a decontamination website that'll show you all of the available locations around the state of Minnesota and the hours they're open and a contact phone number if you want to call ahead and make sure someone will know that you're coming and be there when you get there. It's quick and easy. 5 to 10 minutes. Now, some boats might take up to 15 minutes, but then you know you've done your best to keep those 9,000 lakes AIS free for the next generation. Here in Cass County, over 90% of our lakes do not have any aquatic invasive species. And that's actually true across most of Minnesota. 10,000 lakes, less than 1,000 with aquatic invasive species. So one thing we stress is to visitors, when you're gonna come up to our lakes, take your watercraft out a week before you're gonna come up. That'll give you that 5-day dry time that kills all the invasive species that might try and hitchhike with you up here. Now, if you don't have time for that, Minnesota DNR has a website that can show you all the decontamination units that use hot water to kill any invasive species. And in 5 or 10 minutes, you can stop in at one of these sites. They'll wash your boat down, flush out the live well, make sure there's no hidden water anywhere that could carry something up to one of those 9,000 plus lakes we have in Minnesota that aren't infested with AIS. Thank you everyone for doing your part to keep our lakes clean for future generations. One thing that often doesn't occur to people is that many AIS are too small to be seen, and they can hide almost anywhere. It really came to light for me when I was having a quick boat decontamination, and the inspector asked me, has anything else been in the water? And I said, well, I have. And then they had me take off my sandals and put them in a bucket with 140-degree water, because there could be microscopic AIS hiding in there. It's important not just to clean your boat, but water skis, life jackets, and for spiny water flea, fishing line, ropes, lures, just to make sure they get that 5-day dry time. Or if you can't do that, look up on Minnesota DNR's decontamination website and find a location where you can get a free hot water decontamination, a quick rinse, 2 minutes of 140-degree water. Now, another thing I've heard from people is you can use the dryer. You can put stuff in your clothes dryer, turn it on, it'll get up to the right heat, it'll kill anything that might be trying to hide on there. Most of us are used to making sure our boats are clean before we go from lake to lake. One thing that doesn't occur to people as much is that AIS can hide in boat lifts, dock legs, anything that's been in the water. Your lily pad floaty, your water skis, your life jacket. It's important to let anything dry for at least 5 days before you put it in another water body. And actually the state requires that boat lifts, docks, and other items like that dry for 21 days. Often those things can hold some water in the legs, and we really need to give time for the AIS to be killed in those before putting them in another water body. My favorite Minnesota tradition is getting out on the lakes with my family. Now, the best way to do that, I feel, is a couple-day camping trip. I'm fortunate because I'm headed up to Rainy Lake area this weekend for 4 days. The one thing I need to be sure about is what am I going to do before I put my boat back in my home lake. The local county has a free hot water boat wash, and I'll be calling their hotline. The nice thing is they're open 6 days a week from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and they'll be there when I get there, and in 10 minutes I'll roll out with a clean boat ready to be back in my local lake. We're fortunate here in Minnesota, not just that we have 10,000 lakes, but that we haven't seen some of the aquatic invasives that others lakes have seen. It's interesting, in Wisconsin, there's a lot of invasives that come from aquarium dumping. We don't see those as much here, but we have seen some in the metro area. You might not know it, but things you can buy offline can be invasive species. We recently had moss balls for aquariums that had zebra mussels in them. Never release your pets or aquarium plants into one of Minnesota's wonderful water bodies.
Hey, Tim Terrell from the Mississippi Headwaters Board here. I just want to talk to you about aquatic invasive species, AIS as you've known it, but you probably know more commonly like zebra mussel, starry stonewort, Eurasian milfoil, that kind of stuff around there. It isn't all gloom and doom. This isn't something that we go about and if we don't fix it in 10 years, we're all gonna die. You know, it's just something that we can do here, and clean, drain, dry is one of the best ways to get out there and really make a difference in your world. Hey, I'm here with Bailey, our clean, drain, dry dog. Just kidding, she's no mascot, but she loves to play in the water. She likes to have a good time. So let's all remember to clean, drain, and dry. So we want to talk about aquatic invasive species here in Minnesota. We're doing a great job, Minnesota. We're cleaning our boats out. We're making sure that we're not transporting any of these hitchhikers. A lot of states aren't doing this, so this is some great stuff that we can do. So keep up the good work, Minnesota. Keeping our lakes free of any invasive species is as simple as throwing a frisbee to a dog. It's simple as that. Clean, drain, and dry. I don't know about you, but I love my dog, and you know, having zebra mussels in lakes can tear up their paws if they're running into the beach or any place like that. So do your part and clean, drain, dry, and you can also protect your pets as well. So when you get these aquatic invasive species, zebra mussels, starry stonewort, things like that, they can get in and they can just change ecosystems. I wouldn't say necessarily change, but really affect them. We want your kids to have the same freedom and the same experience that you had when you were young. One of my favorite Minnesota traditions is going out on the lake, maybe doing some camping, it's kayaking, going out with friends, just having a great time out there. So I'm part of a kayak club called Paddle Folk, and I also do paddle with some other people on the Mississippi River. We get to enjoy a quiet, it almost feels like the Boundary Waters, but yet you're 5 minutes away from Starbucks or Caribou. But it's just a great time to go out there and enjoy the outdoors. And we want you to have that same experience here, free of any aquatic invasive species. Resourcetainment events. We partnered with counties and we went out there, we paddled down the Mississippi, and then we went and had a social hour afterwards. It was really good. We had a great time. We had over 100 people show up and we weren't even trying to get that many. Just a really great time. Check out our website to learn more about it. Anybody can go to a paddling event that the Mississippi Headwaters Board holds with. It's open to the public. It's a great time. You'll enjoy just meeting new people or even just hanging out with friends and enjoying your paddle down the river. So this year, the Mississippi Headwaters Board, we're kind of partnering with Grand Rapids, the city of Grand Rapids, and the Great River Road. We just kind of want you to drive the Great River Road, have a great time, and then you'll be by the Mississippi River and you'll be able to see some really scenic sights in the North Country. So we hear a lot about wakeboards, wake boats, all that stuff. We want you to still enjoy those. We're not here to police and try to put more regulations on you. We just kind of want to keep you informed because Minnesota, when this was first enacted back in 2014, you responded well. You were like, yeah, we love our lakes. We want to protect them. Later we found out 90% of our lakes are free and clear of aquatic invasive species. So it's not a problem, but you as Minnesotans and you as people are doing your part to help keep our lakes free and clear.